Yes, we're live.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you all are. Today we are hosting our one of our UN career talks again. I'm Esma Gumberidze, former Georgia's youth representative to the United Nations. This is the network of former and current UN youth delegates that is conducting these UN career talks, and we had few of them throughout the year. We invite the UN staff of different levels and from different paths and different regions to speak about their professional and personal experiences and their career paths, to share more with young people the ways in which we can be more engaged in the UN, and also how we can start our jobs and careers within the UN. Today, I think we are hosting one of the most appropriate persons to talk about career development, and this is Dr. Egide Rwamatwara. He is the Talent and HR Human Resources Manager for the African region in the WHO, the World Health Organization, which, as all of you probably know, has been championing the and being on the front line of fight with and combating COVID-19 pandemic. So Dr. Rwamatwara has over 20 years of experience within the UN system, and he has made his way up to the P5 level of the professional staff, which is one of the highest rankings within the United Nations. And he today committed his time, and thank you, Dr. Rwamatwara, for committing your time to speak with us, the young people, about your personal experience and also the ways in which we can engage with the UN, both as staff and probably also as outside actors, let's say. So without further ado, I would pass the floor on to you, Dr. Egide. But just before, I would ask everyone, all the participants, to think of the question that you would ask our speaker. Also, this talk is being broadcasted live on our Facebook page, and at some point we also will publish it on our website of the network. Therefore, all and everybody who is watching us live on Facebook also is welcome to post and ask your questions in the comments. So, Dr. Egide, please start. We have about hour and a half fully as like all, and you would have 20-25 minutes to deliver your initial remarks, and then we'll go to the Q&A session.
Thank you, Esma. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, colleagues, depending on where you are. I'm Egide Rwamatwara. As I've been presented, for me, it's a privilege to interact with young professionals aspiring to join UN. I consider that it's an honor for me to talk to you. Needless to say that I have been a young professional like you, and the questions you have, I have had them as well at certain point in time. So if you allow me, Esma, I have, before I really go into the matter of discussion of the day, I have prepared a short presentation to set the scene. If you would allow me to make the presentation.
Yes, of course. I would just ask Ramiz, because he's the host, to allow you to share the screen if it's possible. I'm sure it's technically possible.
I'm still disabled.
Ramiz, are you with us?
Hi, yes, I have just changed the setting to have everyone share screen. So if you try now and share screen, you will be able to do that.
Can
okay,
you
I
see
think it works.
It works? You can see my presentation?
It is, yes, it says that it should be.
Yes,
All
it's
right. Okay, thank you. It's a short presentation just to really not to jump into the discussion. I wanted to share with you, based on my personal experience, how one could build a career in UN. Okay, so UN, it is a big organization with 193 member states. Many specialized agencies. One of them is my organization, WHO. You have funds, programs, research and trainings, institutes, subsidiary bodies. Really, UN has so many opportunities and fields for people to join. So I would say that career-wise, there is a diversity of fields, a multidisciplinary expertise required in UN. So in any field that you are in, there is an opportunity for you to join UN. That said, I wanted to also say, what do I need then to build a successful career in UN? A successful career in UN or anywhere else is based on some basic principles that, if followed well, could really lead to the success. The first one, in any successful endeavor, is to really know yourself. At a certain point, everyone has to sit down and say, who am I? What do I want? What do I like? What is my purpose? What makes me happy? What is my passion? What are my values? What do I want to do in my life? Where am I? Where do I want to go? What do I need to get there? What are my talents? What are my skills? Those questions are fundamental in any enterprise that you want to undertake. Then, when you know your skills, you know your talents, you direct your career, you direct your activity. Do you see yourself as a leader? Do you see yourself as a manager? Are you good in speaking? Are you an artist? Do you see yourself in research? So all those are the basis that help you design your career. Then you formulate your dream. What is your dream? And having a dream is one thing, but also knowing why do you have that dream and how do you want to achieve that dream is also of essence. Then you formulate your objective, your goal. Okay, I have made my decision. My dream is to join UN. It is in this field. Then you clearly formulate your goal, your objective with smart, the smart goal. Be specific. In which field do you want to be? Which level do you want to attain? Because it's one thing to wish to join UN, but if you just join UN in a field that you don't like, in a field which is not within your passion, your dream, then you will not enjoy it. I can say that I was lucky to join UN at a young age and in the field that I love, human resources. I'm trained as a lawyer. So when I was a lawyer in law faculty, I saw myself as, an advocate, an attorney in a big enterprise, in a big company, or in the courtroom. But I found this passion, the human resources management, and for the last 22 years, I have been really doing what I love. So this is what I wish each and every one of you to join the UN, yes, but in the field of your passion. It makes a difference. Of course, you can join in one field and change, but it's good to know where you want to go. Then hard work. If you really want to progress in UN and in any other field, you have to really work hard. They say no pain, no gain. And then aim for excellence and develop the values that will make you reach your destination. Because as you know, many people would want to join UN. Now, how do you compete? how do you make yourself be the best that the UN will be attracted to? Okay, so you have to add value. You have to really make a difference, so that in the multitude of applicants, the hiring person will really say, this is the person I'm looking for. And that is on your paper, but that is also when you are called for interviews, how you sell yourself. Okay, I have put there some figures that you are certainly familiar, Kofi Annan, Sadako Ogata, who really did excellent job in UN, but having started from humble beginning. So for you young people, the sky is the limit, but you have to plan it and prepare yourself. Okay, then I have this magic word, positive attitude. Be positive, tell yourself that it is possible. If it happened for Egide, if it happened for Kofi Annan, it can happen to you as well. Okay, then we live in a world with others, with neighbors, with family, with friends, alongside the communities we work with. Really, another principle is to appreciate and love your neighbor. Okay, it's very important. And we have good instances where really the world around us need our touch, our helping hand. So develop the spirit of service. This is really what makes UN the different and makes the difference. In the introduction, I think Esma said that WHO was seen in action in all these outbreaks, including COVID-19. Yes, that's the spirit of service. We have seen people really in very challenging and sometimes dangerous areas, but they are animated by the spirit of service. So if you really want to join the UN and to make a difference, you have to develop this spirit of service. And we have people who really portray the image of service and sometimes sacrifice. Okay. Then now to my career, I think I have already in my resume told you how I joined the UN. I joined UN 22 years ago in 2000, freshly from school in Harare, Zimbabwe. It happened that WHO was had relocated to Zimbabwe because there was a war in Brazzaville, Congo, and they were looking for young talents, bilingual. I happen to be bilingual. For your information, originally I come from Rwanda, so I did my studies initially in French, then proceeded in English. So I was a perfect bilingual. That contributed to my being picked by UN that time. Then 2 years later, I moved to Brazzaville when the office went back to Brazzaville, Congo. A year later, I got a scholarship to go study in Switzerland. I said I cannot miss out. I took a leave without pay, went and did another master's degree in Switzerland. Lucky enough, I came back. They took me back in 2004. 2009, again, I decided to move to pursue, a more challenging job. Actually, I moved into professional. It's a promotion, I would say. In 2009, I left Brazzaville again and went to Cairo, Egypt. After they sent me to Khartoum, Sudan, then I was also called back to Brazzaville in 2011, and I didn't move since then. Everywhere there, I was in human resources management. So I consider myself to be really an expert in human resources management. What is my next destination? God knows. But I know that anytime I can move again. Okay. Then in your question, you asked me to say, how do people join? Who do we need? As I said in introduction, UN is a variety of expertise. And in any field really fits in one of the areas in UN. So, and also we encourage all agencies, all UN agencies are now promoting diversity and inclusion, particularly gender balance. Women who are in the attendance, really this is your time. When a man is competing with a woman and they are at equal, the chances is that the woman will be taken. Then geographical distribution. I said in the introduction that UN has 193 member states. So all members should somehow be represented in our organizations. Of course, some are more represented than others. And this leads me to the quota. Each country, each member state is given a quota of the people that should join. These quotas are defined according to the size of the country, but mainly the contribution that the country puts in UN. So, for instance, Americans, USA citizens, they have a very big quota because US contributes a lot in UN. So when a Rwandese is competing with an American, American is likely to be taken because America will not complete its quota anytime soon, whereas Rwanda has already passed the quota of the 9 people that is in WHO. Yeah, so that's how we operate. Now, many agencies are investing in young professionals. My own organization, WHO, we are really trying to attract young professionals for various reasons. First of all, the world is moving fast, and young people tend to really follow, especially technology. We are in a data and communication internet era, so the young professionals are good at that. But also for what we call succession planning. I'm left maybe with about 15 years to retire. And we have so many people retiring in the next 3-5 years. We will need people to replace us. So when we recruit young professionals, somehow we are investing in future leaders. There are categories like UNVs, entry into UN through UNVs, UN volunteers, which is easier because it doesn't require so many experiences. So it's an entry point. Because usually people ask, and rightly so, that your vacancies are requiring 5 years of experience, 10 years of experience, and you're saying you want to attract young professionals. Where do you want me to get the 5-10 years of experience? Which is a valid point. So entry through UNV, interns, internship programs, give you some experience that can be used to access other professional positions when they arise. How do we hire? It's online. Any organization of interest, you go in their intranet or internet, you go to the career portal, you see vacancy notices, then you choose which one you fit in, you complete an online form, it records, and then whenever there is a vacancy that interests you, you throw in your candidature, and then the HR will shortlist. If your profile is interesting, they will call you for a written test, and then if you succeed in a written test, you are called for interview. Then you receive the most attractive message that you have been selected for this particular position. When I received my letter of appointment, I couldn't believe. That's one of my best moments of my life. Even if it was a junior position, but joining WHO was for me a dream come true. And of course, since I wanted to aim high, I worked hard and climbed the ladders of professional career until where I am today. So Esma, I think I can stop here, and then maybe if there are specific questions, comments that I would contribute to, I would like this session to be more interactive than me talking. How is that?
Yeah, thank you very much for these introductory remarks. And I have pointed out a few things for myself. I couldn't agree more that first and foremost is to find out what do we like to do, what do we enjoy doing. Is that the public speaking? Are we more, let's say, introverts or extroverts? And are we more interested in and like writing? Are we more on the technical or artistic side, and so on and so forth? And then figure out what kind of profession do we want to join. Um, I would ask you, and you also rightly mentioned quotas, because this is something that we always are wondering about, and it's good for us to know. And one thing that I for certain can conclude from your speech is that higher education and knowing foreign languages is a huge asset for those who want to join the UN. And I would also want to tell the younger students who are thinking of joining the UN to start investing your resource, your time into learning foreign languages, especially 6 UN languages, or at least few of them. And also, of course, investing in your higher education, university degrees, and so I have just one question, and then maybe it's probably better to let the audience ask. Um, does the volunteer experience, for example, count as a professional experience? Because many times we, the young people, are involved in different consultative mechanisms, in different working groups as volunteers. Would that, after 5, 6, whatever, 10 years, would that count as a professional experience? Because due to this activism, we may not simply have the possibility to work somewhere as paid staff.
Okay, Esma, yes, the volunteering work counts, that experience counts, because if you're applying, if you have been a volunteer in, let's say, data management, and you're applying for a position of data management, and you put that you have worked 3-4 years as data manager in WHO, that experience will count, definitely.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. This is very important because, again, many young people now are engaged in activism, and the activism and voluntary work is encouraged. And then, unfortunately, many times in many other organizations, we discover that what they mean by experience is mainly the paid work. And if we don't have these paid jobs, and we face a lot of higher unemployment rates in our countries, that then means that even though we have a lot of experience of, for example, organizing and leading different events, but we still are not seen as professionals by different government institutions, public institutions, and so on and so forth. Now I would like to ask if our participants have any questions or comments. I would highly encourage you to participate, either by unmuting yourself or writing it on the chat. Meanwhile, I would also ask, as we are UN Youth Delegates here, and we usually, as UN Youth Delegates, participate in UN General Assembly, Economic and Social Council. I'm just wondering, what opportunities does the WHO provide for young people to engage as outside actors, as civil society representatives, let's say? Are there, if there are any consultative mechanisms for young people to be more involved?
Yes, again, Esma, the answer is yes, because WHO also operates in communities. When we are doing vaccination, we are doing contact tracing, we are doing any public health related work. Usually, we need people to pass on the message. There is also what we call adolescent health. Drug addiction, HIV/AIDS. You need the youth, you need young people to convey that message. So whether through civil society, whether through young movements, whether through individual young people who can champion the messages, WHO, of course, is open for such collaboration and partnership.
Yes, this is very good to know. So then it means we should be looking more forward to our local country teams and
Yes.
looking up for different volunteer and other opportunities there. Meanwhile, yes, so we have a question from Ramiz. Why do most of the UN jobs require master's degree with 5 to 10 years of experience, which makes it harder for young people to enter? That's his question.
Yeah, well, it depends which level you are talking about. The jobs in UN are of two main categories. There are what we call local positions. We call them general service positions. This is where you are working in the UN agency. It can be WHO, it can be UNICEF, it can be UNESCO, it can be WFP or any other organization locally. As you can be an administrative assistant, you can be a human resources assistant, you can be a data clerk. Those do not require really a master's degree or so many years of experience. Local positions. The problem is that when we advertise such a position, many people apply, even those who have masters. So you will be competing with people with higher degrees. Otherwise, some of those positions don't require master's degree. Then the other category is professional category. The professional category also has grades. Up to professional 1, professional 2, even professional 3, the master's degree is not mandatory. First degree is mandatory. But as I say, when we advertise, you'll find even PhDs applying for that position. So the hiring person will go for the best qualified with many years of experience. That's the reality. Otherwise, the requirements in terms of education and experience for some level, for junior level, it's not that much. Did I answer the question?
Yes, thank you very much. I think so. I mean, if Ramis, if you have any more questions to add, you can do so by either unmuting yourself or writing in the comments. Yes, Ramis is thanking us. So I would ask another question, and that is because you mentioned that you also did your second master's degree, and I'm wondering, was it possible to work and study at the same time? Because I assume that the studying in Switzerland is pretty demanding, and so is the UN jobs. Most of them are full time. And how did this work together?
Yes, that's a good question, Esma. And this is where I said hard work, and no pain, no gain, and sacrifice. When I joined, I had a master's degree. I had, a first degree and a master's degree. During my career, of course, I took leave without pay. Leave without pay means that you are not paid, so you don't work. So I took about a year to go do another master's degree. And then when I finished it, I joined again. But even after, while this time working, I did another master's degree and a PhD and many other qualifications. So one other advice I give is to continuously improving and increasing your competitiveness. Because as I said, when you are applying, you are competing with people with higher education. So the higher education you get, even while you are working, it counts. You have seen that I have even a PhD. I did all these while working. this leads me to what I always tell my junior colleagues: time management. We usually have a lot of time that we waste in doing other things, enjoying our lives, enjoying ourselves. But if you take 1 hour every day to say that this 1 hour I consecrate it to developing myself, doing some studies, doing research, you can increase your capacity. You can get as many degrees as you want. So the more qualifications you have, the higher qualification you have, the more chances you have to compete successfully to higher positions. So it is possible. Yes, our work is demanding, but where there is a will, you can complete. Thank you.
Thank you very much. While our audience is still collecting the questions, I would ask you another one about the neutrality and generally the obligations of the UN staff, because to the best of my knowledge, once you join the UN, you are not supposed to be representing your country and anymore. But I mean, we still come from our backgrounds, from our countries, and it is probably a huge challenge to disconnect completely and not to be looking at the developments in our own country. So how does this, how do the UN staff compromise, their citizenships, their what goes on in their countries with their UN work and UN commitments? Are they allowed, for example, to publicly being expressing their opinion about the situation in their countries?
That's a complex question, Asma. One thing is that UN does not forbid us to leave our culture, to be somehow involved in our country's business. For instance, we are allowed to go vote. We can vote. What we are not allowed to do is to be actively involved politically, or as you said, to have to utter some personal opinions or political opinions, because then we remove our neutrality. As UN staff, we are bound by principles of professionalism, of neutrality, of independence. So yes, on that one, I cannot serve the interest of my country using my position in UN. That would be conflict of interest, and I would be disqualified to be a UN. Once UN, you are supposed to be to serve the interest of the organization and have only the interest of the organization in mind. But it doesn't stop us from leaving our cultures, going home and mingle with our people, vote for our leaders, and that is allowed. But indeed, because of living outside the country for a long period, you find yourself somehow uprooted. I no longer know where my former classmates are, because we after 10, 20 years, you lose touch. Yeah, that's the sacrifice that I can say.
Yes, this is very interesting. And even indeed, it's interesting now with this new realities where many people work from home and many people did go back home to their countries. Do you think that helped them to reconnect, or they are still, let's say, physically in different localities, but mentally they are still outside of their countries, so to say?
Yeah, that's another, well, the remote working or home working, teleworking was brought in by COVID recently. We are still trying to see the impact of those new working models, but I can say that there is mixed appreciation. There are many people who find that teleworking from home allowed them to be more with their families. UN, we have people who are posted in places where they cannot bring their families. They are separated with their families for long periods. They only meet them when they go on leave. So at least teleworking has allowed them to work from home, so be with the families, that's a positive thing. There are others who consider that working from home has created more problems. We hear that the domestic violence increased. I'm not saying about UN staff, but generally working from home has had some negative impact, unfortunately. But because of this, UN has introduced now what we call flexible working arrangements, where a staff can choose um, uh, during a year which period to telework, either at the duty station or from outside the duty station, or can work many hours and then have a day off every week or every month. You know, that flexibility is now being introduced officially because COVID has shown that people can work and produce based elsewhere.
Yes, yes, that's there are a lot of considerations, and we're having another question from Ramiz. I would ask everyone though to ask your questions in the general chat, not as a direct message, because I may have, let's say, I may rephrase your question a bit inaccurately. But the question was, as a senior HR professional, what are the top three skills that you are looking for when selecting a candidate?
Okay. Right. When we are recruiting, I think I mentioned it, there is a technical expertise in the field that we are looking for the person. The other thing which we usually gauge from the interviews is the personality, the attitude, how the person um, uh, carry himself or herself, how does he or she um, uh, uh, will fit in the team, teamwork, team spirit, cultural diversity. UN is a melting pot. You have all cultures put in one office. So interviews help us to know the kind of personality, the kind of attitude of the person. So that's why I mentioned the magic word, the positive attitude. We need people who are flexible, agile, who can fit in any team, who can work with others, because it's a teamwork, it's not an individual work. You can have one person who is a genius, highly technical expert, but put that person in a team, he will actually bring even the team down. So that person, even if he or she is a genius, we can forgo that person and take another one with lesser technical skills, but with good personality, good attitude. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you very much. And I wanted to build up on what you have said about the multicultural environment. Have you ever had a very difficult situation when you had to, for example, that stemmed out of cultural differences? And another question is about safety. Had you personally ever been in an unsafe environment, as like when you were posted as part of your job duties? And if you are
Yes,
able to talk about that.
sure. Cultural difference, yes. Uh, you know, as I said, I'm from Rwanda, Christian culture. Um, so then I moved to Egypt and Khartoum, which are really another culture, religious-wise, Muslim. I had to change in Cairo. The week starts on Sunday, finishes on Thursday. All those become, you have to adjust, you know. So that was, you know, a different cultural environment, but I enjoyed it. I adapted, I adjusted quickly. And a small thing that can appear banal, but was significant. You know, this is before COVID. We used to shake hands. In my culture, we even you know, do a cheek kiss. But in Cairo, I could not shake a hand of a woman. And even in our office, the chairs of your client were positioned that the person doesn't look at you in the eyes, you see? So those are the cultural differences you have to be aware of and adjust. And I tell you, the first days were difficult. I would find myself giving a hand to my women colleagues. They would laugh at me, but they were supportive because they knew I was of a different culture and I didn't mean bad. So yes, cultural differences are a rich heritage of UN. When you have gone into all those different environments, you appreciate better the diversity of our universe. Security, safety, yes. In South Sudan, even in Congo, we had shootings. I remember my child was like 3 years and it was shooting from everywhere, and we were hiding. Then she told me, Dad, how about the roof? Because we are hidden between in a corridor. Yes, she could feel that she's safe both ways, but how about if the bullet could come through the roof? I said, yeah, that's another danger. So that just to tell you how insecurity or unsafety can be a problem in the UN. But usually places which are insecure, we are not allowed to bring families, but it can happen anywhere, anytime. The good thing is UN have at least security measures and can protect the staff who are caught between the fires.
Yeah? Yes, you are correct about, and I could not agree more that it can happen anywhere. I mean, nobody would probably expect what started in Ukraine on February the 24th, anyways. And I just wanted to ask also, are the UN staff who have to work in dangerous situations paid any additional like danger compensations, or how is this dealt with?
Yeah, yes, of course. We have to save lives. We have people in northern Nigeria, where there's Boko Haram. We have people in Darfur, in Juba, where their lives are really in danger. Yes, there is danger allowance, hardship allowance, danger allowance, but nothing can replace or can compensate human life. As I said, we try to protect them as much as possible with armed vehicle. I mean, not armed, armored vehicles, bulletproof vehicles, helmets. I remember one day I was wearing the bulletproof jacket and the helmet, which weigh like 30 kgs. So it's uncomfortable, but we are called to serve. What we try to do is that people should not stay in those areas for a long period. Usually, maximum after 2 years, we have to move them out and put them in a better place. But there are people who enjoy it, who like working in those environments. And when we ask them to move, they say, no, we are fine. We prefer to stay here. Yeah.
Yes, very impressive of them. We have 3 more questions for now. Peter is asking if many years of experience can replace the postdoctoral studies, and also if after, like when taking the leave for studies, the person has to reapply from all over again, or let's say the job is somehow saved and postponed. And then we have a question from Ramis about the accommodations for people with disabilities who are working for the UN and more specifically for WHO.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me start with the last one. When I was talking about diversity and inclusion, I talked about gender balance. I talked about youth. I forgot to talk about people with disabilities. It's really an area where we are investing in. yes,
everybody is forgetting to talk about this. I'm sorry, but this is I myself have a disability and I know how this goes. So it's
my apologies.
I understand.
My apologies for that. Yes, but I can assure you that all UN agencies are investing in accommodating people with disabilities, because disabilities, you know very well, they are different. They can be in different nature. So when a candidate presents a disability, the UN agency has to find ways and means to accommodate, to make his or her life easier. An example, in my office in Brazzaville, we have people with commodity challenged people. So
With
we,
mobility disabilities, you mean?
yes, mobility, yes, mobility.
Physical disabilities, right?
Yes. So we make sure that we give them offices at a lower level. We give them houses which are not apartments, so that, you know, to accommodate their mobility. Yeah. So yes, all agencies are sensitive and accommodative when it comes to people with disability. The other question was, when you take leave without pay, when you come back, do you apply? There are two types of leave without pay. There is one where you negotiate, say that I'm going for 1 year, please keep me keep my place. When I finish, I come back. When they give you that authorization, then it becomes easier. When you finish your studies, you come back to your position. There is the other type where we call it leave without pay in lieu of termination. It means that the organization has no obligation to take you back when you come back. So when it's in that second category, when you come back, if you're lucky, there is a position they can take you back without competition. But if there isn't, you have to apply like anybody else. The other question,
can many years of experience replace the postdoctoral
yes.
study?
Yes, yes. For really PhDs is required for very few scientific and technical fields. But rightly so, if you have worked in that field and you have a lot of experience, yes, years of experience could compensate a PhD. Yes, I agree.
Thank you very much. If we have any other questions, I would urge the participants to ask them now, either in the chat or live. Otherwise, I would assume that we have no questions, and then I would like to thank Dr. Rwamatwara for his time today on Sunday, and wish everyone good luck with all your endeavors in careers. And also, I would like to say that we are going to host many more UN career talks, and many more UN officials would be invited to discuss with young people the possibilities to engage in the UN processes. Thank you once again, Egide, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Esma. Thank you, colleagues. All the best in your quest to join UN.